Congressional Medal of Honor recipients, and to have that many is very unusual and a tremendous honor. I met many of them over the last 2 weeks, and that to me is just a great honor. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody in this room, and it's a privilege to be here this morning with you. So many distinguished members of our service, and that's really what you are, very, very highly distinguished members. Before we get started, we're going to have a Q&A in a little while. I'd like to address one of the most important aspects of America's national security, and that's cyber security. To truly make America safe, we must make cybersecurity a major priority, which I don't believe we're doing right now for both government and the private sector. Cyber theft is the fastest growing crime in the United States by far. As president, improving cybersecurity will be an immediate and top priority for my administration. One of the very first things I will do is to order a thorough review of our cyber defenses and weaknesses. We have very substantial weaknesses, including all vital infrastructure. Cyber attacks from foreign governments, especially China, Russia, North Korea, along with non-state terrorist actors and organized criminal groups, constitute one of our most critical national security concerns. They're learning everything about us. And we don't want to have any servers in the basements, by the way, folks. Is anybody here? Has anybody in this group, I know our congressman hasn't done it, has anybody put a server in their basement? Oh, boy. Hillary Clinton's only experience in cybersecurity involves her criminal scheme to violate federal law, engineering a massive cover-up, and putting the entire nation in harm's way. The fact that a former senator and secretary of state claimed not to know what the letter C means is just one more example of why she is totally unfit to hold the office of president. Totally unfit. It's interesting that during her FBI review, which took place on a massive holiday and which wasn't recorded, and lots of other things, that she went 39 times. She didn't remember. She didn't remember. She doesn't remember anything. She remembered practically nothing. But when she has to remember something, she remembers. It's a very sad situation, I will tell you. I'm sure the folks in this room are not thrilled. The scope of our cybersecurity problem is enormous. Our government, our businesses, our trade secrets, and our citizens' most sensitive information are all facing constant cyber attacks and reviews by the enemy. Just consider some of these recent hacks. J.P. Morgan Chase, massive bank, had 73 million emails stolen. eBay was involved and gave up 150 million passwords. Target was attacked and gave up 40 million credit card numbers. Attacks like these are happening on a regular basis, both in the United States and around the world. And the costs in terms of privacy, our security, and our financial sector are truly extraordinary. Identity theft, financial laundering, as well as ransom and ransomware. I mean, think of it. All involving extortion of a hacked institution are becoming increasingly common. And they are extorting institutions. Incredibly, hackers were able to obtain at least 20 million identities of people who under FBI background and were under FBI background investigations. The information hack contains facts discovered by the FBI in doing background checks for people seeking positions with the federal government. It's a treasure trove which can easily be used for blackmail and other reasons by the enemy. The fact that this highly classified information of very, very important people in many cases was so poorly protected demonstrates that cybersecurity is just one more area where the Obama administration has failed. And speaking of failure, when we do our question and answer period, you look at what's happened with our Navy in terms of the number of ships and our armed forces generally, how they're so depleted, how they're at almost record-setting lows, and in some cases absolute record-setting lows. It is very, very unfortunate and very, very dangerous for our country. We should not let this be like the history of the mafia, which was allowed to grow into a nationwide organization which infiltrated and corrupted so many areas of society for such a long period of time. We can learn from this history that when the Department of Justice, the FBI, the DEA, and the state and local police and prosecutors were combined in a task force directed by and at the mafia, when they looked at the mafia and really went after them, they were able to get great successes and prosecutions out of them, and seizing their business interests, did a lot of things, including their business interests, taking them away, and removing their infiltration from legitimate areas of society. They've been very, very effective when everybody got together. That was a long time ago. As president, I will instruct the Department of Justice to create a joint task force throughout the United States to work together with federal, state, and local law enforcement authorities and international law enforcement to crush this still developing area of crime. And it's getting bigger very fast. It's going to be harder and harder to do. I will make certain that our military is the best in the world in both cyber offense and defense, and in every other way, by the way, every other way. We've rarely needed it more than we do right now. I will also ask my Secretary of Defense and Joint Chiefs to present recommendations for strengthening and augmenting our cyber command. As a deterrent against attacks on our critical resources, the United States must possess, and has to, the unquestioned capacity to launch crippling cyber counterattacks. And I mean crippling. This is the warfare of the future. America's dominance in this arena must be unquestioned, and today it's totally questioned. People don't even know if we have the capability that we're supposed to have when you look at what's going on with other countries. Cybersecurity is not only a question of developing defensive technologies, but offensive technologies as well. For non-state terror actors, the United States must develop the ability, no matter how difficult, to track down and incapacitate those responsible, and do it rapidly. We should turn cyber warfare into one of our greatest weapons against the terrorists, and they have to know it's coming, because right now they know nothing about us. It just seems they have an open blanket. It's like an open mark. Do whatever you want to do. Nothing's going to happen. Take our youth out of the country. Infiltrate our country in so many different ways. We can't let this happen. We have to have it stopped immediately before it's too late. Thank you. To enhance the defense of the other agencies of government, including our law enforcement agencies, so important and doing such a great job, by the way, we will put together a team of our best military, civilian, and private sector cybersecurity experts to comprehensively review all of our cybersecurity systems and technologies. The cyber review team will proceed with the most sensitive systems first, but ultimately all systems will be analyzed and made as secure as modern technology permits, and hopefully that's going to be our technology. We will also require that follow-up reviews take place on a regular basis, determined by the sensitive nature of the security involved. The review will be very much exact and recommended by experts. We want experts, our finest people. We don't want people that are B-level, C-level, D-level. We have to get our absolute best, and the recommendations have to be a combination of defensive technologies tailored to specific agencies and every other discipline involved. This will include the various methods of internal monitoring, attack and penetration, investigation of suspected hackers or rogue employees, and you have plenty of rogue employees, and identity protection for government employees. The review team will also remain current on the constantly evolving new methods of attack and will attempt to anticipate them and develop defenses as often as possible before breaches occur. And there are ways of doing this through modern technology, but we are not using that. And frankly, our technology is not up to date. We're letting it slip by. And with technology, as we know, it can go very, very rapidly. This group of experts will set up protocols for each agency and government officials, requiring them to follow best and strongest practices. They will also establish a training program for all government employees to make certain that they understand what defenses are available and utilize them, along with a continuing education program so everyone is aware of the newest methods of both attack and defense. That means attack and defense. Those who violate classification rules will be held responsible to the fullest extent of the law, something which we don't do too much anymore. You know, in our country, lately we're more interested in protecting the criminals than we are in making sure that we're strong and powerful and know what we're doing. We're so interested in protecting criminals and people that want to do us harm. And I think we have to go back to a little more old-fashioned method of thinking, if that makes sense. I will appoint an Attorney General who will reform the Department of Justice like it was necessary after Watergate. My Attorney General will restore the integrity of the Department of Justice, which has been severely questioned. Today is just frankly, nobody's ever seen anything like what's happening today. When you have somebody getting a subpoena from the United States Congress to have your emails and all other information sent, and after, not before, after getting the subpoena, 33,000 emails are deleted and acid washed. And nobody even knows what that means, acid wash. It's a very expensive thing to do. Most people don't even know what it means. When you see something like that, and there's no crime, everything's just wonderful. You know, if you're in a private case with Mr. Smith, and they call for your records, and you get rid of your records so blatantly as this, you have serious consequences, like the most serious consequence. Here's the congressman sends out a tremendous subpoena. They want to see the emails, and they delete the emails. I can't think of anything in terms of what we're talking about much more serious than that. Congressman, do you agree? It's hard to believe that they can get away with this kind of thing. Today is just the beginning of a long and overdue national discussion on how to protect ourselves from modern cybercrime and evolving national security threats, and how to develop the cyber offense strategies necessary to gain a critical security edge in the 21st century. We need the edge, and ideally a big one. I want to thank everybody in this room. I have such respect for the people in this room for being here. And now let's begin our discussion. Thank you very much, folks. Thank you.